Take two. Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Samuel. Once again, I'm your instructor for this Photoshop class. Without wasting much of your time, we'll continue from where we stopped in the previous class. In the previous class, we understood that Photoshop, we gave an introduction to Photoshop, and we said Photoshop is a destructive picture editing software, meaning that anything you are doing on top of an image is permanent. Then the second thing we talked about is that Photoshop is pixel based, meaning that what makes up the pictures or whatever you are making in Photoshop is actually tiny boxes of colors, of different colors. Then the third thing we talked about is that Photoshop is layered. It's layered because whatever is at the top or on the top, just like this. Let's just bring back whatever is on the top, right, is what you will see first, then followed by what is second, followed by what is third, then followed by what is last. So it is layered in nature. Now, so in today's class, I'm going to continue from where we stopped. In today's class, we're going to go over the overview of the interface. It is important that you understand the interface of Photoshop. Now, so when you open Photoshop for the first time, it brings you to this screen, okay, this new document screen, or your previous edits, okay. So, but if you don't have Photoshop, you just leave a message. I'll give you the link to where you can download this particular version of Photoshop, okay. So, this is a new document screen where you create any document of your choice. For instance, I like to work with A4 paper size in landscape mode most of the time when I'm creating something because it's just adequate. Okay, so I'll create a new document, right? Now, so this is a new document. Now, everything you are seeing here, everything is the interface of Photoshop. So, but by your left here is the toolbox. On the top here is your menu, right? Then this particular menu, this sub menu, is actually activated depending on what tool you have selected. You see, and I'm pressing different tools, it is changing, right? And so this one, it is context based. This one, it is permanent, right? Now, so then also by your right, you have the panels, the editing panels, different panels for whatever editing work you are doing. Now, before you understand this properly, you need to understand that Photoshop actually works with a concept of workspaces. Workspaces are different arrangement of panels that can give you the most effective way to do a particular thing. So for instance, if you're editing photography, this would be the best for you. If you are doing painting, this is the best for you. If you are doing anything motion related, because you can use Photoshop to do GIFs or to do animation, right? Then for graphic and web design, this is it. For 3D, this is it. For just the bare essentials, this is it. Okay. So on a normal day, you are supposed to, by virtue of your experience and knowledge of Photoshop, you should be able to create your own workspace. For instance, I'll create a new workspace now just for you so that you see. The reason is because I'm used to working with a particular workspace. If you see on the top here is Samuel, right? So by default, this is how my workspace is. My workspace is simple. Okay, I like to keep things simple. I'm not that complicated or very complicated. So I'm going to create a replica of this, but first of all, we will go back to photography. So this is the photography workspace. So if I want to make it to something that I love working with, okay, make it like Samuel, what I'll need to do is I'll click and drag. Okay, most of these things can be clicked and dragged. Click and drag, 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 click and drag. The same thing, right? So I don't need all of these things. That is why I drag them out. So I don't need them. I'll press the X beside them. X, 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 right? I also don't need this, and I don't need parts. Okay, so X, X, right? So you see that on my panel, I only have layers left. So the next thing I need to bring in is properties. To bring in a panel, you just need to click on Windows here, then go to properties. Okay, so this is the properties panel. Then the next thing I want to bring in is the characters. Okay, I love when I'm working with text, I want to be seeing everything close to me. So the character panels come together with the paragraph panel. So what I need to do is click and drag, then wait for it to turn blue, then drop. The same thing, I can carry this individually, right? Or I can bring them together, or I can bring them in together this way. Okay, so this is how I'm used to working. I'm used to having the layers, the properties, the characters, and then the paragraph. The reason why my own is arranged like this is because if, for instance, I'm working on a shape tool is U. If I'm working on a shape that has a black color, for instance, now the shape has been put in the layers panel, right? You see it on the top here. Remember we said Photoshop is layer editing software, so it has been put on the layers panel. Now if I want to do anything to this shape, I can quickly just go to the properties panel, then adjust this edge. You see, as I'm adjusting the edge, the picture is changing. Now what about if I want to change the surrounding around the image? I can still do it from here. You see that? Then any other edits I want to do on the shape, I can still do it. Okay, let's assume I want to change it to blue color. So you see, or to yellow color. Yellow color. So let's go with this. You see, so this is why I have the layers panel, so that everything will be here, and I can quickly edit from the properties. Then if anything I'm working on is also text related, let's say okay, if what I'm working on is text related, just like this, you see we have someone here, I can just quickly go to the layers panel, make sure whatever it is selected, go to characters, and then increase the size from characters. So you see how that my own workspace ideally is set up to make work easier for me, right? So you see that. So you can quickly adjust the size, adjust the text, or make it this way. Whatever you just need to do, you see. Then when I have a lot of text, I can use this paragraphs panel to also do a lot of edits very, very simply. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that ideally you should be able to create your own workspace. So how you do it is, by the time you are done arranging your workspace the way you want it, you can just go to this workspace icon, click on the drop down and say new workspace. Okay, so I'm going to name the new workspace as Drift Solutions. That's the name of our business. So Solutions. Then you can just take these guys and let's say okay, right? So you see that I have two different panels now that I've created. The first one is Samuel, the second one is Drift Solution. So the another thing you need to learn is that this can be stretched. Okay, this can be stretched, you see. This can be resized. Alright, so this is the normal Photoshop workspace, right? So now if you want to do some few settings, the way to go about it is you can press Ctrl K on your keyboard. It will open you up to the settings panel. Now by default your Photoshop should look something like this. The color is a little bit too bright, right? So I was one who changed it to be darker. And how do I do it? I went to the preference the preference settings, which you can access with Ctrl K. Then you can adjust as many things here as you know how to adjust. For instance, the zoom, if I am zooming, you notice that it is zooming based on where I am. See, all of those settings are from here. Zoom scroll wheel, zoom resizes window, zoom clicked points to center. All of those things are what make this the way it is. So with this, we have successfully introduced the interface. Whatever tool you have on will change anything here. And so it is meant for you to know the tools. Okay, and this toolbox can be made straight. You see, it is straight now, and you can't see something. So preferably it should be this way so that you can see everything. Okay, so the tool, the menu, the toolbox, the layers panel, properties panel, characters panel, more the menu. So this is Photoshop interface. It's not complicated. Okay. So, well, if you are doing anything and then you mess up your workspace, for instance, I was doing something and now drag the properties out, because you can do that. Okay, I drag the characters panel also. Then I now made a mistake and deleted the characters panel. I have two options. I can go to Windows and then look for characters, right? And then it will bring it back. Or preferably, you can just go and say reset. Since we're on thrift solution, you can say reset thrift solution. When you do that, everything will come back to the way you saved it initially. So with this, we have successfully introduced you to the Photoshop interface.